Gazzetta Football Italia, Q titles.
Well, it's been a hard week for me, especially because of the operation, but I'll be telling you more about that later. First, this.
Coming up, behind the scenes with Italy as they prepare for their crunch World Cup game with Switzerland. And there's full highlights of that latest vital qualifier with their main Group 1 rivals. James Richardson goes behind the headlines for all the week's news. Superstar keeper Walter Zenga issues a personal invitation to win his autographed kit in our competition. All the action as Juventus bid to become one of 3 Italian sides to lift the European trophy this season. Paul Gascoigne might have had an operation, but it hasn't killed his sense of adventure, and he talks us through his week. We look at the race for promotion from Serie A B, with 6 sides on the tail of current leaders Reggiana. And as Inter keep up the chase in Serie A, their usually camera-shy president and Walter Zenga and Ruben Sosa preview tomorrow's vital clash with Lazio.
Well, I've met a few sly people in my time, and especially that man Jamesy, who's went over to Florence to watch Italy prepare for the game against Switzerland.
Dark and cloudy skies hang over Coverciano, the Italian national team's training centre on the outskirts of Florence. Hearts here, though, are far from heavy. Italy have just 4 games left to go in their World Cup qualifications, and by now a place in USA 94 is all but assured. So what awaits the Italian national team now? Well, first of all, a match for the top of their World Cup qualifying group against Switzerland, the team, if you remember, whose visit here in October caused a lot of painful memories.
No, per noi no, non fu una memoria dolorosa, per noi fu, direi, una grande soddisfazione. Io non credo di aver fatto un salto così alto da almeno 10 anni, quando abbiamo pareggiato al 91esimo.
All right, no painful memories then. Italy drew 2-2 against the Swiss at Cagliari, but were 2 goals down with just 7 minutes left to go before Roberto Baggio began the comeback with this goal. It was finished off by Oranio in the 91st minute, a phenomenal demonstration of a last-minute heart, but a harrowing debut in these World Cup qualifications for Sacchi's Italy team, and plenty to prove as the 2 teams meet again this time.
Ma a parte rivincita, ma poi non siamo ancora qualificati perché ci sono ancora parecchie partite, noi dobbiamo giocare ancora, a parte con la Svizzera, poi dobbiamo giocare col Portogallo e con la Scozia qua in Italia, per cui per andare in America bisogna vincere tutte.
La partita con la Svizzera ci è servita molto, ci ha fatto imparare tante cose e da allora siamo anche migliorati molto. Quella era una squadra veramente all'inizio.
Maldini was absent injured from that squad at Cagliari, and Franco Baresi, another mainstay of the defence, was also missing. Both will of course be on field at Bern for an Italy team that in these last 6 months has undergone almost total overhaul. Injury to Milan midfielder Dimitri Albertini has meant a call-up for the little-known Daniel Zorati of Parma, whose arrival caused confusion as journalists struggled to identify him. Injury has also struck Gigi Casiraghi. This was to have been the Juventus striker's first game back after his heroics against Portugal, but a recurrence of the muscle strain he picked up scoring there means his season is probably over. His place is taken by Roberto Mancini of Sampdoria. The lone survivor of that Italy squad last October is one Roberto Baggio, the man they call here Il Cordino, the ponytail. 17 goals in his 28 games with Italy's national team, Roberto has now begun to hit the kind of form that his critics have always demanded of him, qualifying Juventus for the UEFA Cup finals virtually single-handed, and in Italy's last international against Estonia, putting on an extraordinary display of technical skill and finesse.
No, ma in nazionale ho sempre fatto delle buone partite. Il Portogallo forse è stato l'inizio di un periodo importante anche nelle coppe e in campionato.
Ma guardi, Baggio è sempre stato un ottimo giocatore, a volte era un attimino più discontinuo, ma bisogna ricordare che questo giocatore ha 26 anni, quindi la continuità poi non si sposa sempre con la giovinezza.
Continuity hasn't been a problem for Italy of late. In their last 3 games, they've beaten Portugal away and won comfortably at home over Malta 6-1 and Estonia 2-0. The results and spectacle have replaced the doubt and disappointment of Sacchi's first year, and even the old avalanche of criticism of his methods has diminished considerably.
No, io non voglio nessuna vendetta a tutti quelli che sperano e pensano di rinnovare o di dire qualcosa di nuovo. Devono sapere che riceveranno anche molte critiche, questo è normale.
So what of the Swiss? Well, they'll be fielding almost exactly the same side as the last time the two teams met. Switzerland rank at the top of Group 1. They've scored more goals and let less in than Italy. And with third place Portugal's challenge now reawakened by their recent 5-0 destruction of Scotland, it's become additionally important for Italy to avoid any repeats of their slip-ups in their last match against the Swiss.
Era una partita persa, l'abbiamo recuperata, questo ci deve far capire però ancora di più avere rispetto per questa squadra, che è una squadra molto ben allenata, una squadra molto brava, ripeto, una squadra che tatticamente, almeno per quanto io possa capire, è fra le migliori d'Europa.
Praise indeed. Well, the sparks certainly flew when these teams clashed last year in October, and there's no doubt that on their home ground at Bern, Switzerland will be a tough proposition indeed for Italy. Italy, of course, in great form at the moment, 11 goals scored and just 2 taken in their last 3 games. Find out how they get on against the Swiss in our highlights coming up after the break.
Welcome back. The stage set then for Italy's 7th qualifying match in the World Cup campaign. So let's join our match commentator, Gary Bloom.
Switzerland make just one change to the team that was a minute away from beating the Italians 6 months ago. Egli is missing from the Swiss defence, the legacy of an operation on his knee, and his place goes to number 4, Dominic Hare. Adrian Knopp returns to the Swiss attack after fracturing a cheekbone in the World Cup qualifier here against Portugal. He's scored more goals for the Swiss national team than any other player in the history of the game here. Italy without Pierluigi Casiraghi and Demetrio Albertini of Milan, so number 8, Daniele Zorato, makes his Italian debut in Albertini's role, while Roberto Mancini, in inspirational form at Sampdoria these days, replaces Casiraghi. Mancini not backward in coming forward, either on or off the pitch, commented, "Without Casiraghi we've lost something in the air, but with me in his place we've gained something on the ground." That's a great ball by Mancini. There could be a goal here. Surely that's a foul on Roberto Baggio. And another yellow card. Here's Roberto Baggio challenging for possession here with Hottiga. And Hottiga is cautioned for that blatant flouting of the rules. Roberto Baggio to take this free kick. Tremendous save by Pascolo. Italy is so inventive on these dead ball situations. Signori put his foot on the ball, and Roberto Baggio thought he'd scored then as he tried to squeeze it in on the near post. Corner to Italy. Roberto Baggio again to take it. Pascolo will be happy to retrieve the corner. That was an excellent save by the young goalkeeper. A lot of debate in the... Roberto Baggio with a delightful layoff towards Signori. Dino Baggio almost got there. Tremendous covering challenge by Sforza to force the ball away when it appeared Dino Baggio had a clear sight of goal. First significant cross Signori has produced, and it almost produces a goal. Suter in pursuit. Neatly done by Pagliuca, and here's Fuzet. Zorato. Maldini. Roberto Baggio. Mancini! Italy getting ever closer to taking the lead. Roberto Baggio and Mancini almost combined then for the opening goal. Tremendous through ball here by Roberto Baggio, and Mancini was after it, and his speed took him clear of the Swiss defence. It took a very good stop by Pascolo to deny him. Plenty of vocal encouragement for the Italians. Dino Baggio has been shown the red card for that foul. A curious decision by Martin Navarrete. And this is the incident which has led to Italy having a player sent off. Dino Baggio, who has patrolled the Italian midfield, now leaves the field in disgrace. This is going to be an interesting 45 minutes for Arrigo Sacchi and his team. Roberto Baggio beaten to the ball. Ottiga was booked in the first half. Maldini won that ball fairly. Di Mauro helps it forward. Roberto Baggio. Signori! Just couldn't angle his shot wide of Pascolo in the Swiss goal. But even with 10 men, Italy prepared to attack with venom here. And Signori, who's had a real name for himself scoring goals this season, able to find the target. All of a sudden there's so many misplaced passes by the Italian team. They really have been rattled with that sending off of Dino Baggio. Ottiga. Breghi. Away by Manini. Suter. Ottiga! The Italian defence looks to the linesman, who keeps his flag down, and Switzerland have struck the front after 54 minutes. Viekovic claimed the offside, but there was no offside to be had because Manini played Ottiga on. Manini got his head to the ball, but didn't push out. And when the ball was returned after Fuzet challenged Suter, Ottiga was on hand to make it 1-0. Tremendous strike by the fullback on the volley, but cleanly past Pagliuca. It's a lovely turn by Sforza. Breghi. Chapuisat available. Breghi! Stung the palms of Pagliuca. That one was dipping away from Pagliuca, who had to make a smart save to keep this one out. And it's Orel. Suter. Mantini. Breghi. Tripped by Fuzet. He felt there was an offside decision then, but The boot of Diego Fuser wrapped around the leg of Breghi. Breghi. Did Pagliuca get a touch? We shall see. Brilliantly flighted free kick. Breghi disguised his intention then, and Pagliuca was stretching to get the ball. In the end, he couldn't reach it because it was too high. Baresi. Roberto Baggio. It was either a brilliant intercepting tackle or a piece of folly. It certainly was the former. That was a brilliant tackle there to deny Roberto Baggio what would have been a goal-scoring chance late on in this game. That tackle had to be timed to perfection, otherwise Italy would have been awarded a penalty. It's really torture for the Swiss supporters, and now Switzerland have given away a free kick. Fuser! And I wonder if that is Italy's last chance. It's a victory which will be tinged with controversy. Switzerland offside, but victorious! They've inflicted Italy's first defeat under Arrigo Sacchi.
So a blow for Italy's World Cup hopes. But the Group 1 table still shows them and Switzerland favourites to qualify, with Portugal the main threats. Italy's next game is against Estonia in September, with Scotland and Portugal still to come. Could all be decided on that final game in November. So what did the papers make of the result? Here's James Richardson with his weekly look behind the headlines.
Good morning. There's nothing like a 0-1 defeat to improve your outlook on life, as proved by the Italian squad this week after their defeat by Switzerland. Take coach Arrigo Sacchi, for example. Here he is in the Gazzetta dello Sport. Sacchi takes a rosy view, saying inside, "I saw the team play like my old Milan used to. This is a definite step forward." Roberto Mancini was of a similar opinion. "We're going to win the group," he told reporters. "The future belongs to us." In with all these positive thoughts, though, there was a lot of bitterness over that extraordinary expulsion of Dino Baggio. Baresi called the decision unbelievable. Pagliuca said the referee must have a dirty conscience, and Dino Baggio himself said it was all premeditated, presumably referring to the expulsion and not the foul itself. Even a newspaper as prestigious as the Corriere della Sera was moved to comment the referee was shameful. The Swiss newspapers, by the way, called the expulsion a courageous and necessary decision. Well, Dino Baggio was back in the headlines again on Thursday morning, along with his teammate and namesake Roberto Baggio, after Juventus' away game against Borussia Dortmund, the first leg that of the UEFA Cup finals, and highlights of which are coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. To whet your appetite first, though, here's a selection of some of the more rabid headlines. Corriere, Baggio, Baggio, Baggio. The Gazzetta, make way for the big Baggios, and in the Tutto Sport, Baggissimi. A great game, as you'll see, for all the Juventus team, but particularly for Roberto Baggio, whose performance left both the Gazzetta and the Corriere awarding him the European Footballer of the Year award, albeit 6 months prematurely. Well, Juve have pretty much sewn up the UEFA Cup now, and after the game they threw their coach Giovanni Trapattoni into the bath fully clothed as part of the frenzied celebrations. Well, the action that inspired all that coming up, as I say, in a couple of minutes, but first, onto a knees-up of another kind as we relate the extraordinary events that took place last week in Dejan Savicevic's parking lot. The Milan striker was woken up at 8 a.m. by the porter of the residential complex where he lives, who asked him to come down and move his badly parked car.
Dejan came down cursing, and the porter cursed back, shouting, "You Slavs are an ugly race." At this, Savicevic kneed the 65-year-old man in the stomach. After all, when it comes to defending your country's honour, there's not much better than kneeing pensioners. Well, Savicevic is normally a likeable and mild-mannered kind of guy, so we can only hope the whole incident blows over and that the porter won't follow up his threat to press charges. In the meantime, Lazio are back this week from their jaunt to Japan, where they've been helping the professional league there get started. The Japanese sponsors of Lazio's tour were heartbroken over Paul Gascoigne's absence through injury, and Lazio themselves weren't much happier after their performances against local sides, losing 2-1 against Gary Lineker's Grampus 8, and then following that up with a 0-0 draw against the quaintly named but frankly less than fearsome Yokohama Flugels. The worst news for Lazio, though, is that Karl-Heinz Riedler picked up a knee injury in that Yokohama game, which may rule him out of Serie A action for the next few weeks. The Italian press, and notably the Corriere dello Sport with its article "Lazio from Japan with Stress," asked just what the club thought they were doing, playing friendlies on the other side of the world when the Serie A tournament is just about to come to a climax. Well, the answer I would hazard is probably spelled Y-E-N, but since this is the time of the season when Lazio year after year throw away their hopes of a UEFA Cup place, injuries and distractions of this kind are probably not the best thing for them. This year again, their last 5 games will be crucial to Lazio's hopes, and it all starts tomorrow with their game against Inter at the San Siro. That'll be, of course, our live match here this weekend on Channel 4, and to prepare for that, I went up to Inter at the start of this week to talk to their president, Ernesto Pellegrini, the goalkeeper, Walter Zenga, and even snatch a word or two from Ruben Sosa. You can hear what they all had to say at the end of today's programme. For now, though, it's competition time.
Well, now it's competition time here on Gazzetta Football Italia, and your chance to win kit autographed by one of Italy's greatest footballing characters. Walter Zenga made his debut for Inter back in 1983 and has since played over 250 Serie A games. He'll be centre stage in our live match tomorrow when Inter entertain Lazio, although he'll want to forget the first meeting of the teams back in December. Inter went down that day, but they haven't lost since. So what was the score in that first encounter in Rome? Did Lazio win A, 2-0, B, 4-0, or C, 3-1? When you've made your choice, ring us on 0891 333 444. The first caller picked out by our computer when lines close next Thursday wins this football jersey and gloves, both autographed by Walter Zenga, plus a pair of shin pads. 4 lucky runners-up will take home an Italian goalkeeping jersey, a ball and some shin pads. Our winner and runners-up will also be made honorary members of Club Italia and become eligible for all the benefits for the next year. Now, in Gazzetta last week, we showed you Parma in action in the European Cup Winners' Cup, and we asked you to tell us who they'll be playing in the final. The answer, of course, is A, Antwerp. These 2 lucky winners were picked out by our computer and get a pair of tickets each to see Wednesday's final at Wembley. These runners-up get a 1993 Italian football album complete with a full set of colour stickers. And all our runners-up and winners become members of Club Italia for the next year. Finally, don't forget that full details of all our competitions are on page 365 of 40, Channel 4's teletext service. And good luck to you all. But not a good week, though, for David Platt, who was left out of the Juventus lineup for the UEFA Cup final first leg trip to Borussia Dortmund. And it looked bleak for Giovanni Trapattoni's team selection. Rummenigge showed all the coolness once displayed by his older and more famous brother, Karl-Heinz, but where was the Juventus defence? When Baggio sent Viale rampaging through, his great run and sweet layback should have brought the equaliser, but Müller completely miskicked inside the penalty area. Already singled out for the jeers of his former home crowd, Müller earned more hoots of derision for this appalling miss. Yet a few minutes later, he'd made amends. The Italian international midfielder was able to switch the ball to his left and wrong-foot the defence and the home goalkeeper. 4 minutes later, Juventus were ahead. The Dortmund defence was again caught cold, leaving one of the world's top players with acres of space. He made full use of it. Baggio, scorer of all 3 semi-final goals, which saw off Paris Saint-Germain 37,000. 16 minutes from time, Juventus made sure. Conte, who'd done some stout defending, broke up another attack and sent Muller away. Vialli took up the attack, and his twisting and turning eventually created space again for Muller. This time, it was neatly played through to Roberto Baggio, and his cross shot in Turin in a fortnight, Juventus poised to win the UEFA Cup for the third time. But will David Platt be involved as they seek to finish off the job? No action either for Paul Gascoigne recently, after that injury against Holland. But he's been in paradise this week. Well, Paradise Wildlife Park.
Well, as you well know, I had an operation just after the England game, and if I don't hurry up and get this recording over, I might need another one. The operation went very well. It just come down on the side of my head, and I just pushed my cheekbone back out. I'll be play contact sport in the next few weeks, so I've decided to take a few days off, and as you can see, I visited Paradise Park on behalf of Steve and his wife, and they've let me come up and see some of the animals. Well, I've had a few days break, and I've reported back to Lazio, and everything's well, and hopefully in a few weeks' time I will be able to resume back in full contact training. Swelled up for a couple of days, really swelled up. Swelled up, sorry. Yeah, it swelled up the face, as I said before, and it's starting to go down now. I've took a few tablets, and I was really pleased that Mr. Evans took his time out to put my face back in order. I'm not the best of looking guys anyway. Italy got beat off Switzerland through the weekend qualifying game, and I don't think they'll be very happy about that. Dino Baggio was sent off for a tackle where everyone thought he shouldn't have been, and through the week I got an unbelievable elbow. Sorry, got an unbelievable elbow, and nothing. The guy wasn't even booked, but that's football, and we just have to get on to it. As I say, I'm really trying to get rid of me mark at the moment, and I'm finding it very hard. Look at Stephen Sedgley getting fed. Oh, well, as we say, we're still fighting for a spot in UEFA, and we've got Inter Milan, who are second and closing in on AC Milan. It's going to be a tough game for us, and we're going to have to really scrap and battle out for a point on Sunday, and I only hope that the lads can do it. I reckon man-to-man marking in Italy is quite tough, but I wouldn't fancy any more of this man-to-man, I tell you, that's for sure. Jane was up in Inter, watching... Good. It's all right, good lad.
Welcome back. No Serie A action last weekend because of the international, but it was business as usual in Serie B, where 6 teams are chasing the leaders Reggiana for one of the 4 promotion places. Gary Bloom reports.
Riccardo Castagna headed Cremonese 1-up after only 2 minutes against Piacenza in Italy's game of the day. Cremonese and Piacenza were 2nd and 5th respectively at the start of the day, but only 1 point separated the 2 promotion hopefuls. Piacenza, who hadn't won in Cremona in 28 years, almost grabbed an instant equaliser. Turci in Cremonese's goal then kept out Torini's efforts. Cremonese are at their most dangerous on the counter-attack, as Derby discovered recently in the Anglo-Italian Cup final. Floriancic failed to trouble the goalkeeper here. Antonio De Vitis, Serie B's leading scorer, was then denied by Turci's brave challenge. Then Floriancic once again made room for the shot, needed a more accurate finish. Into the second half, and Cremonese's leading goal scorer Tentoni was denied a goal by Tayibi. 5 minutes later, Super's long-range effort almost deceived the Cremonese goalkeeper. Floriancic made a nuisance of himself again in Piacenza's penalty area. 15 minutes from full-time, Piacenza were reduced to 10 men after Super was sent off for his second cautionable offence. And a minute later, Masparo delivered the crucial blow for Cremonese. The midfielder's fine finish preserved Cremonese's home record, as Piacenza lost for the first time in 10 matches. Padova in the all-white staged a local derby against Venezia, with the home side searching for 2 vital points as they make a late bid for one of the 4 promotion places. Venezia should have opened the scoring when Bonaldi missed a chance. Quite frankly, appeared easier to score. Venezia's Natty Strip forced a change of jersey for the referee, which perhaps didn't meet with the approval of the fans. Signor Cinciripini soon rediscovered his senses and sent off Quicchi of Padova for a second yellow card offence. The fireworks continued in the second half when the referee awarded Padova an indirect free kick following the goalkeeper's push on Rosa. Di Livio stepped up to fire Padova ahead. The replay clearly shows Bianchette made contact with the Padova midfielder. Whether the incident warranted an indirect free kick is doubtful. It was appropriate Di Livio should score. He was the outstanding player of the game. Venezia then brought on their under-21 international, Del Vecchio, almost brought the scores level with his first touch. Then in the final minute of the match, Di Livio's pass set up Monterone, who was brought down for a penalty. Despite Galdarese's miss, Padova climbed to within 2 points of a promotion place. Serie B's league leaders, Reggiana, in all red, were at home to the bottom club Ternana. And after the away side's initial flourish, Sacchetti came within inches of putting Reggiana 1 up. Accardi's free kick then brought this fine save from the Ternana goalkeeper. But 3 minutes before half-time, Reggiana broke Ternana's resistance, albeit with a little help from Rosin, the goalkeeper. Scienza scores his first goal for 5 months. Ternana, who are now playing for their pride, drew level on the hour mark through Fiori. There's just a suspicion of offside as he turns the ball home. Scienza was again in evidence, found that luck was against him this time. Well, coming up now, a move worthy of a Serie A team, stylishly finished by Scienza. It's this brand of football which has seen Reggiana race clear at the top of Serie B and earn a certain first ever promotion to the top flight. Not bad for a team missing 3 players through suspension and injury. Ternana were unfortunate to have a goal ruled out in the final minute. The ball had apparently crossed the line before it reached Cinello. Reggiana are now undefeated at home since May '92, when Pescara departed with a victory. Finally, to a relegation battle on the south coast. Bologna in all white travelled to Taranto. Bologna found an ally in the referee who punished Sonchin's an intentional touchback to his goalkeeper by awarding an indirect free kick inside the penalty area. Baroni scored from the resulting free kick to give Bologna the lead after 9 minutes of the game. Taranto, who hadn't won in 14 matches, found an equalising goal just before half-time. The ex-Bologna striker Lorenzo knocked the ball down for Sonchin, who made up for the disappointment of Bologna's opening goal with an accurate finish. In the second half, Camollese's goal-bound effort was diverted onto the crossbar by Pinato. Minutes later, Taranto struck the crossbar again. Prete failed to convert the rebound. But Taranto's persistence was rewarded 20 minutes from full-time. Muro, the ex-Napoli and Lazio midfield player, with a stunning finish to make it 2-1. 10 minutes left in the game, Bologna introduced Barbieri, an 18-year-old striker. He promptly brought the scores level to 2-2. Taranto's defenders failed to get to grips with the cross. Barbieri kept a rare first-team appearance with a goal. Bologna's joy was short-lived. With a minute into injury time, the fullback Prete raced in on the blind side with the Bologna defender to score the winning goal for the home side. Prete means priest in Italian, and it was fitting that he should administer the last rites of Bologna's relegation season. Final score, Taranto 3, Bologna 2.
Well, those results leave Reggiana 5 points clear of Cremonese, with Ascoli and Lecce locked together on 40 points, and Piacenza, Cosenza and Padova still in the hunt. Serie A sides get back into action tomorrow. Surely Milan must end their run of 7 games without a victory when they travel to struggling Ancona. Juventus, after their excellent UEFA Cup result in midweek, will also be confident of full points against Pozzo, while Parma and Sampdoria should keep up the challenge. But the key game, and our live match on Channel 4 tomorrow, sees second play third. James Richardson has been to Milan to talk to some of Inter's key men.
This week we're in Milan. Tomorrow afternoon Inter Milan take on Lazio in our live game, and we're here to hear a few words from the legendary Inter goalkeeper Walter Zenga. Before that though, let's pass through this rather nondescript door in central Milan into the offices of Ernesto Pellegrini, the Inter president, to hear a few words from the author of this season's most daring transfer coup, the robbery of Bergkamp and Young from right under Juventus's noses. Pellegrini has been Inter's president since 1984. The club have won a Scudetto and a UEFA Cup under his direction, but the deal for the Dutch stars Bergkamp and Young has earned him a new level of publicity. It happened like this: while Juventus and Barcelona were still fighting for Bergkamp, unseen by all, Pellegrini and Inter's general manager Pietro Boschi had secret negotiations with the Dutch players. They offered a package of guarantees and a place for both of the players in the side. It took months, with the Italian press insisting with growing conviction that Bergkamp was Juventus bound, until February, when Inter shocked the press, the fans and even the coach's wife with the announcement.
Credo che Boschi, che è il nostro amministratore delegato, ed io abbiamo compiuto un'operazione segreta. In Italia si dice la prima operazione segreta del calcio italiano. Non lo so, non ho molta memoria a tal proposito. Però ecco, sono contento di aver dato questa notizia, sorprendendo un po' anche gli stessi nostri tifosi.
Bergkamp and Young officially cost £12.5 million, and press estimates here add a couple of million onto that. As head of Italy's #1 catering conglomerate, though, Pellegrini can afford it. His company produces 250,000 lunches every day, including, funny enough, mine on the plane coming up to see him. It's all part of his Pefim industrial empire, a business with a turnover of around £300 million a year, 50 million or so of which is accounted for by his club, Inter. As a boy, were you an Inter fan?
Oh sì. Dall'età di 12 anni, da quando vidi la prima partita dell'Inter che vinse contro la Juventus proprio qui a Milano, nello stadio di San Siro, quindi sono interista da 40 anni.
And at that age, did it seem possible that you'd be one day president of the team?
Ma indubbiamente a quell'età non si poteva sognare. Poi successivamente, quando ho iniziato la mia attività imprenditoriale, e quindi quando ho cominciato a guadagnare un po' di soldi, ho pensato, ho sperato, ho sognato di diventare presidente della mia squadra, ecco, della squadra che ho sempre amato.
People talk of President Pellegrini of Inter as a somewhat more closed man than perhaps Berlusconi, a man who shuns the limelight a little more. Do you think that's a fair description?
Ma questo è quello che si dice. A me quello che interessa non è apparire direttamente o personalmente, mi interessano i successi dell'Inter. Probabilmente per il tipo di lavoro che fa Berlusconi, lui ha un'esigenza diversa. Poi io credo di essere piuttosto aperto con le persone, magari non lo sono così del calcio, ma solo per quel motivo che le ho appena detto.
Berlusconi and Pellegrini's clubs Milan and Inter are of course lying first and second respectively in Serie A, 4 points apart. Before leaving the president then to continue on with his busy afternoon, I raised the question currently on a lot of lips in Milan.
Where do you stand on the issue of the catch-up? Is it possible for Inter to take the title?
La speranza è l'ultimo a morire, però ecco, recuperare 4 punti in 5 giornate a questo grande Milan lo ritengo un'impresa ai limiti delle possibilità umane.
Well, that was the view from behind the desk. Now the view from between the posts. We're here at Inter's training ground at Appiano Gentile for a chat with Walter Zenga. We sat in the lush surroundings of Inter's headquarters. It's a place that Zenga knows well. He grew up here in the youth programme before, at the age of 23, breaking into the senior squad back in 1983. Astoundingly, in that first year, he won the Calciatore d'Oro Award, the award for Serie A's best player.
Sì, sono stato l'unico portiere che ha vinto il Calciatore d'Oro e direi che non è male, no? Era molto difficile perché sono stato uno dei primi giocatori, a parte Galli nella Fiorentina, una grossa società tipo Inter, Milano, Juve che ha affidato la porta a un ventenne esordiente in Serie A. È stata una scommessa e devo dire che se non fosse stato per Radice che ha avuto fiducia e che mi ha continuato a far giocare, che all'inizio dopo delle difficoltà hanno voluto insistere su di me, probabilmente sarebbero cambiate tante cose.
Zenga's had 10 years so far with the senior team, and 2 seasons really stand out. 1991, when Inter defeated Roma for their first ever UEFA Cup, and the record-breaking season of 88-89, when Inter lifted the Serie A title with a massive 58 points. The charge for the Scudetto that year was driven by Zenga, who allowed in a league-low 19 goals in the season's 34 games.
Scudetto e Coppa UEFA sono stati due grandissime vittorie, una per un record che è ineguagliabile, lo sta dimostrando anche questo campionato, e l'altra perché abbiamo riportato una coppa nella bacheca dell'Inter dopo 20 e passa anni.
By 1986, Zenga's play at Inter had caught the eye of Azeglio Vicini, then the Italy coach. Zenga began a stint as the Azzurri's #1 goalkeeper, a stint that lasted 58 games and 5.5 years, until Arrigo Sacchi's decision to drop him last September. While we were at Coverciano last week watching the national team train, I asked their coach Arrigo Sacchi about this continuing and surprising exclusion of Zenga from the team.
Ma lo spiraglio c'è per tutti, evidentemente se abbiamo 2 giocatori bravi, io in quel momento preferisco sempre far giocare quello che è più giovane. È un grande portiere, ma noi non ci lamentiamo anche di quello che abbiamo adesso.
What's your reaction to Sacchi's comments?
Ma penso che l'unica cosa che uno possa fare è mettere in imbarazzo il selezionatore con delle prestazioni positive. Manca un anno al mondiale e l'unica cosa che un giocatore può fare è quella di dare il meglio di se stesso, cercando attraverso le prestazioni del campo di convincerlo che comunque, anche se c'è una carta d'identità che parla in un determinato modo, ci sono altri giocatori che con la carta d'identità invece vanno in campo lo stesso, cioè, ecco, tutto qua.
Despite his theme, Walter, however, denies any talk of a rift.
L'hai detto prima tu, la domanda sa che ti ha risposto che è solo un problema di età.
Ok.
Penso che sia una persona che se avesse avuto un problema con me l'avrebbe detto senza problemi. Non vedo quale sia il problema.
Zenga has been quite a regular visitor to England in these past few weeks. After the Milan derby, he spent an Easter break in London with his wife Roberta, and then last week after the Fiorucci Cup at Tottenham Hotspur, he stayed on an extra day to watch the England-Holland International at Wembley. You spent a lot of time in England recently. I'm wondering, with the success of Italian football there, were you recognised a lot?
Sì, i tassisti, qualcuno. È stato molto carino.
Che dicono?
Uno mi ha detto, un tassista molto simpatico ha fatto fatica a riconoscermi perché dopo mi ha detto che non riusciva a rendersi conto del perché avevo tagliato i capelli. Però insomma è carino, essere riconosciuti anche all'estero è una cosa molto, molto simpatica perché insomma tu non pensi, vai a Londra e dici chissà chi mi conosce invece.
Zenga will be in goal this Sunday against Lazio, an opponent who beat Inter 3-1 back in December, a game Zenga missed through suspension. Lazio got back from their trip to the Far East just this Wednesday, travelling up to Milan yesterday with the possibility that Karl-Heinz Riedler will be out and joining an injury list that already includes Gascoigne and Dole. They still have, however, Giuseppe Signori.
Il signore, il capocannoniere, merita grandissima considerazione, è uno degli attaccanti più forti. Per fortuna mancherà anche Gazza, per cui... No, comunque la Lazio, indipendentemente dalle assenze, è una squadra che ha fatto benissimo quest'anno e sicuramente farà molto bene l'anno prossimo, per cui è una nuova forza del calcio che sta emergendo.
Walter, is a catch-up still possible?
Non lo so, se fossi un mago, un veggente, te lo potrei dire. C'è solo 5 partite, dobbiamo fare quello che abbiamo sempre fatto fino adesso, giocare senza pensare di far chissà che, a rispettare l'avversario di turno che è la Lazio e poi alla fine sentire i risultati dalle altre parti.
Pellegrini says no, Zenga says maybe. So who is the madman still driving all this talk of a catch-up? Step forward, one Ruben Sosa.
Passo sono io, perché io ci credo ancora, perché sono 4 punti, vedendo il Milan che non è che sta giocando molto bene, vedendo il Milan che va a Udine a solo pareggiare, si vede che è un po' in crisi. La speranza è piccola, però ancora c'è.
Ruben's confidence for the feat received a boost last week when, during a visit to Francescoli and Herrera of Cagliari, his fellow Uruguayans made him a promise.
Loro mi hanno detto solo scherzando così, ci pensiamo noi, stai tranquillo, fai conto che sono a 2 punti e allora così una battuta e aspettiamo che vada così.
The rest has to come from Sosa and co. Any hopes of catching the champions are based on Inter winning all their remaining games. Tomorrow at the San Siro they host Sosa's old club, Lazio, a team who humiliated them, as we mentioned, 3-1 back in December. Back then, though, Inter were missing Sosa, Schillaci, Maniconi and, of course, Walter Zenga. And it's a different Inter side that'll face Lazio tomorrow, one that hasn't lost in the 16 games since that December defeat and one that's outperforming currently all of Serie A in 1993.
Loro devo dire che hanno andato al Giappone, mi sembra fare una questa amichevole che tornano giovedì e non hanno stato diciamo, più concentrati una partita domenica. Infatti speriamo che loro siano un po' stanchi per noi giocare una bella partita. La Lazio ha vinto contro il Pescara non molto bene, però ha vinto. È una bella squadra, io penso che quest'anno l'UEFA arriverà.
Lazio certainly aren't in the best of shapes for this game, but with the current fight that's going on for the remaining UEFA Cup places, they can't afford to slip up. Neither, though, can Inter, that is, if they have any real intentions of continuing this legendary comeback they're on at the moment. Sosa and Signori will be on the field tomorrow. We should have a bucket load of goals. Watch the game live here tomorrow on Channel 4.
And that's it for today. Join commentator Peter Brackley and the summariser Joe Jordan for live and exclusive action tomorrow from the San Siro. Inter against Lazio. So don't be late for the 14:45. Channel 4, your station.
Well, I've had a fantastic day at the Paradise Wildlife Park. I've seen all the animals I could want to see. Fantastic day. Well, Lazio are calling for us now, and I think it's about time I went off and done some training.